that's all right. It's me, you. We got a special kind of friendship.
I am not your friend.
Sure you are. Fishing buddy?
All right, man. Welcome to the show. I get so misty-eyed over that video clip because I feel like Vince Vaughn is the show and Joaquin Phoenix with the gun is our chat.
Not bad.
We have a great chat group. And by the way, one of our main moderators for the chat is right below me is Guy Bud Martin. Just a fantastic dude. And he brings the A game when he's modding the chat. Are you modding while doing the show?
I can. Yeah, I tend to do that when if I'm on a show that I'm a mod for.
Well, Snorty Poopus Cuber is here, and we owe him a video. So I'm going to do that real quick. Where is it? It's called Do the Snorty. Where's it at, Martin?
Should be there.
I'm not seeing it. Things moved. I'm so glad you're producing.
The wonders of live TV.
The wonders of StreamYard.
Snorty is our in-house polar bear. Yeah, you can see it on his avatar. Let's see. Here you go. That's his avatar. He's a polar bear, and we always say, "Hello, Snorty. We love you, man." We have the best chat. We really do. Very active chat with the humor. And everybody, I want you to meet Sam Irvin. Just a gifted dude.
Hey! Thanks for having me,
man. It is such an honor to have you here. I wouldn't mind to have you on just to do an interview show where it's just you and me, and we can just go in depth. But this is more of a panel show where we kind of talk about the things we love, movies. And I decided to stop doing negative shows talking about how shitty movies are today, and instead focus on great films and television from the past. And this is my favorite iteration of Frankenstein, this movie. I saw it when I was 9 years old when it aired. I was blown away by it. Being straight, I did not catch any of the gay innuendos in it. It wasn't until I got older that I started catching those things. But I definitely caught it when I was a teenager watching The Bride of Frankenstein. And I bring that one up because the character of Pretorius in that film was not in the book. That was a character that was brought in and created and gifted to a friend of James Whale, who was a gay actor at the time, not closeted. He was pretty openly gay, which is why he didn't get a lot of work. But Whale made sure he got that role, and it was perfect. That guy is so insane. And when they made
Ernest Thesiger,
yes, and when they made this film, they created the character based on him from The Bride of Frankenstein, because again, Polydorus is not in the book.
Correct. And in fact, the early drafts of the script for Frankenstein: The True Story, which was actually called Dr. Frankenstein when they were writing it and filming it, that I wanted to start off right away to dispense with this horrible title, Frankenstein: The True Story, which NBC saddled with the production just weeks before it aired. And it was a very terrible decision because it's not a true story, and it's not true to the Mary Shelley novel. And it just sets the whole movie up in the wrong way. And practically every review that came out had to spend the first two paragraphs dispensing with the idea that this isn't true to anything. And it just put a negative spin on it from the get-go. And that's one of the reasons why I think that it has had a hard time sort of, its reputation was already marred a little bit right in the beginning because of just that very thing. And they never had any intention of keeping, totally faithful to Mary Shelley. It was really more, the producer, Hunt Stromberg Jr., developed this project. He was gay, and he loved James Whale, who was a fairly openly gay director back in the days of the early Universal classics. and he absolutely loved Frankenstein and Bride of Frankenstein and wanted to do a sort of a reimagining of them as one epic production, and that's what spawned Frankenstein: The True Story. And he hired two gay writers, one of the most famous gay couples ever, Christopher Isherwood, the great novelist who wrote the Berlin stories that Cabaret is based on, and he also wrote A Single Man and many other novels, and his lover, Don Bachardy, who's a world famous portrait artist. And he told them to infuse as much gay subtext as they possibly could get away with the censors and the network. And they called themselves the Lavender Hill Mob because they were trying to sneak in as much gay subtext as they could. And yes, the character of Dr. Polidori, played by James Mason, was very much based on Dr. Pretorius from Bride of Frankenstein. He's the one that comes to the doctor and convinces him to create a bride, and all of those same plot points are there. But both characters, Dr. Pretorius and Dr. Polidori, are very much gay, at least in the subtext. And as I mentioned, the character of Dr. Polidori started out in early drafts being called Dr. Pretorius. And the only reason that the writers, they were making it for Universal. So Universal actually owns the rights.
That was what was weird. Why did they bother with that? Was there a legal issue?
No, they could have used it. They could have used Dr. Pretorius. But what they loved when they were studying Lord Byron and the real story of how Mary Shelley came to write Frankenstein. She was vacationing with Lord Byron and her fiance, Percy Bysshe Shelley, and others in Switzerland, and they challenged themselves to write horror stories. And out of that came Mary Shelley's Frankenstein, or the Modern Prometheus, and Dr. Polidori, who was Lord Byron's physician and lover at the time. He wrote Vampire, which was the very first vampire book ever, predating Dracula, predating Carmilla, predating everything. And so it was quite an auspicious time. But at any rate, they found out that Lord Byron used to tease Dr. Polidori by calling him Polly-Dolly and making fun of his effeminate ways.
All the way up into the ending when he brings him up onto the mast and electrocutes him in the lightning storm.
Yes.
Polly-Dolly. I'm like,
yes,
good
they
God,
they just loved that nickname, and so they decided to rename the character Dr. Polidori so that they could use that nickname. And it came out of the true story of Lord Byron and the group that were involved in writing, in surrounding Mary Shelley at the time she was writing the book, which I think is very clever and very interesting. And one thing that I'm going to jump, yeah, you're right. I already have too much caffeine. I'm going to jump around when I think of things because I don't want to forget. But a lot of people miss this, and you might have as well, because I missed it the first time I saw it. The thread of the brain of the creature in this movie, Frankenstein: The True Story. Let's just follow me for a second. The brain that ends up getting put into the body is actually David McCallum's brain, who plays Dr. Clerval. And when the brain is implanted, it has amnesia. And he has to learn everything from scratch and learn how to be a gentleman, and is taken on a date to the opera by the beautiful Dr. Frankenstein, and is beautiful. And there's all this sexual innuendo about their relationship, where they're living in this boarding house where Agnes Moorehead is their landlady, and et cetera, et cetera.
By the way, I'm a big fan of Agnes.
Oh, me too. And but as the movie progresses, the amnesia starts to go away, and he starts to reclaim the powers of his mind. And the Dr. Clerval / David McCallum character really comes back. And the backstory of him is that he was a former lover of Dr. Polidori, and they had a very, very bad falling out. And you can find hints of that in their dialogue. That's where the
animosity comes from.
And so when you get to the ship, when Dr. Clerval's brain has now returned and is in full capacity inside the monster's brain, he is calling Dr. Polidori Polidori, because that's what what David McCallum called him in the early part of the film. Now, if you listen closely, the voice coming out of Sarazen's body
that's
is
David
David
McCallum.
David
McCallum's
McCallum.
voice.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely caught that.
Yeah.
Because his mimicry was incredible. And that's, of
Yes.
course, because they had the actor do the voice. But as a kid, I'm like, wow, he really sounds like him.
Yeah, it was
I was
really
an
him.
idiot as a kid.
And I thought it was really, really clever that they did that and followed that through line, which was pretty cool. And then you mentioned Agnes Moorehead. I'll just throw this in really quick before I forget. They originally wanted Elsa Lanchester to play the landlady, and she wanted to do it. She was the next door neighbor and best friend of the screenwriters, Christopher Isherwood and Don Bacardi. She was following the whole development of the project. She knew the producer, Hunt Stromberg Jr. He met Elsa Lanchester when he was 11 while she was shooting The Bride of Frankenstein and his dad's film, Naughty Marietta. They were both shooting at the same time, and she was going back and forth between Universal and MGM. His dad was a huge producer at MGM. He produced The Mask of Fu Manchu with Karloff, the Thin Man movies, The Women, etc. But this kid, Hunt Stromberg Jr., total monster kid like us, he was in love with Boris Karloff. He had met him on the set of Mask of the Fu Manchu. He also met Kenneth Strickfaden, who developed all the great electrical equipment in Frankenstein, his dad's film, The Mask of Fu Manchu, and then again on Bride of Frankenstein. And so when he went to the set of Bride of Frankenstein to visit at 11, he already knew Karloff, he already knew Elsa Lanchester, and he already knew Kenneth Strickfaden. And so I'm telling you, it was his lifelong dream to make this movie, and it's so exciting. The more I got into the research of it, my jaw just kept dropping to the floor. The more I realized how the producer was such a monster kid like us, and how much gay subtext was really intentional. Because at the time I picked up on it, I was a closeted gay teen of 17. And I was picking up on it, but I didn't know how much I was exaggerating it or overreading into it until I actually started researching it. And then once I interviewed Don Bacardi, who's still with us, he confirmed everything and more. You know, it was like, if anything, I was underestimating how much was there.
Yeah,
so
you really got to look
exciting.
at the time, don't you? I mean, when this was made, people weren't out of the closet. They
No,
weren't.
it was I mean, it was still illegal to be gay in America, and in California it was still illegal. It was still considered a mental illness by the American Psychiatric Association.
Mm-hmm.
No, it was, it was dark times. And so this was highly unusual that they could get away with, with sneaking this stuff in there. You just didn't see gay people at all on television. I mean, there had been a couple of examples, but not a lot. It was very, very few and far between, and it was very progressive of them to do it.
Yeah.
I like you at 9. I was 17. I saw it when it first aired in 1973 in 2 parts on November 30th and December 1st, Friday and Saturday, and I was just freaking blown away. Absolutely knocked on my socks.
It's a beautiful film, but I want to know what our age difference is, because I was born in 1964.
I was born in 1956. So
okay, you're the same age as my brother.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I'm 69. A whole year of dirty jokes.
Woo-hoo, 69.
But I at that time I was editing and publishing a fanzine on horror films called Bizarre, and I immediately put Frankenstein: The True Story on the cover.
I love the story behind this, because you can get color printing.
This was 1974, just a few months after it
aired. He glued a photo onto the magazine.
Yeah. I didn't have enough money to do a cover, a full color cover wraparound, but I found an ad in Billboard magazine for 1,000 postcards, color postcards for, $50 or something. It's from some place in New York. And I had gotten Universal to give me a color transparency of the monster in full, deterioration makeup. And I just thought, oh my God, it's a cover shot. So I got postcards printed up and literally individually glued them onto the cover of every single one
That's
of these.
wonderful,
damn
man.
things.
I wish I'd seen that one because I've been aware of your work for a while, but I didn't know who you were. And it wasn't until because I'm good friends with Mark, and I love
the
his
great
work.
Mark Maddox. He's the artist.
Look,
We'll talk
artist.
about his stuff in a minute.
I'm an artist, but I am and I'm a student of Drew Struzan's. And
God, who just died? Oh, he's so great.
Oh, man, I can't even go on Facebook right now. It's annoying me so much that, like, I can't get emotional every fucking day. Yeah. So I got to avoid, like, because it's in my feed one after the other. And so I'm like, okay, I'm going to stay away. I'll stick to Messenger right now, which is a separate app on my computer. So I don't have to go look at all that stuff because it broke me when he died. And I'm good friends with his wife, Dylan, too.
Wow.
And by the way, Eric Sharkey, you know Eric, right? And he did the documentary about Drew.
Oh, right. Of course.
Eric's going to be joining us probably in the next week or two for a show because he got the long COVID and it hurt him bad. He ended up in the hospital.
Oh, no, that's terrible.
But we're going to be having him on. But before we go any further, I do have to point out some things to poor Anima's dismay. This show is brought to you by Backdoor Beaver. That's with real beaver anal gland butter. Man, you just can't beat it. Also, remember...
Gary, fuck you. I hate that.
Also, remember, my partner...
Away.
Let's not forget, my partner in crime, Keith, is always judging you. He's the other host on the channel, and we got a picture of him, and I fucking love that picture. He's just... Looks like he's just judging the shit out of you as the audience.
Oh, yeah. I can see that for sure.
he's the whitest black dude I know.
And but just like you, he's a giant of a person, too.
Yeah,
I met him in person. I was like, oh, my God. Hi, Keith. How you doing?
I'm 6'3".
Right?
He's 6'4".
Good Lord.
And we're like, well, it's like he's Frankenstein and I'm Sasquatch.
Yeah.
You know, because my nickname for years, because I have long hair and I got really burly looking, and people started. I'd go lumbering through a place. They go, "Oh God, it's Sasquatch again!" But I want to share these pictures. This is from another great interview with you, by the way. I love that.
Oh, there you go. And I'm proud. It looks like I might be wearing the same thing. Anyway, yes, this is both of those pieces of art are by Mark Maddox that we just mentioned. And my obsession started when I first saw the film and I put it on the cover of my fanzine in 1974, and it's continued to this day. So, my whole studies and obsession with this movie goes back 50 some odd years. And this magazine, Little Shop of Horrors, came out in 2017, and it, really, really got me deep into digging into it and really interviewing as many people as I could find who were still alive. And I ended up taking up the real estate of that entire issue. In fact, Little Shop of Horrors is usually 100 pages, and we expanded it to 120. And every single page is about Frankenstein, the true story. And the cover is a 3-panel fold-out mural, which is absolutely beautiful as well.
I think I have that. Let me see.
I saw it on your graphic, but I'll show you when you cut back to me. I have it here. I'll show it to you.
Okay, we'll cut back to you then right now.
But
there we go.
This is the fold-out mural. It's a 3-panel fold-out. It's the largest cover of any horror magazine to date. Nobody's ever done a 3-panel of one piece of art, and this is it. And I would show you the original, but it's in a very tight stairwell in my condo. But
it's gorgeous,
I have the original
man.
art, and it's absolutely huge. But it's just
cool.
Beautiful.
Mark Maddox is just one of the best artists that I'm friends with, and I just love his work.
His work is magnificent. And
in your book, there's several pieces of art from Frederick Cooper.
Yes,
and that stuff, it's gorgeous.
Yes, he's also a wonderful artist.
Can you tell me about him? Yeah, it's like this is one of his pieces of art in the book. This is a Michael Sarrazin. It's just gorgeous, and there's
the
several pieces of work by him.
Yeah, I love his stuff as well, and he did this. He did a Mondo modern poster for the movie that I think is quite exquisite too.
Sarazen's one of those perfect human beings, blessed with genetics. That guy, yikes.
There we go. I don't want the glare, but there we go.
Yep.
It's pretty amazing piece as well.
Right.
And yeah, and there's lots of art in there from many different artists. And so basically I did the magazine in 2017, and then that led to doing the Blu-ray, where I did all the extras on the Blu-ray, and Mark again did the cover. And on here, the extras include an on-camera interview with Jane Seymour, who plays the female creature Prima, Dr. Frankenstein, played by Leonard Whiting, and then also the co-screenwriter Don Baccardi. And I won the Rondo Award for Best Audio Commentary. And in this magazine, I won the Rondo Award for Best Article, which was I was very proud of that. And so all of this led to me doing my piece de résistance, this 50th anniversary book on the film, and it's got a two-part cover because it couldn't go across this spine, but it's all, again, Mark Maddox in this beautiful design. And for the book, I got
that's gorgeous.
And I got Anne Rice to write the foreword. It was the movie that inspired her to write Interview with the Vampire, and she credits this movie for really inspiring her whole career. And then I got an afterword by Guillermo del Toro, whose own production of Frankenstein is just out right now. And
you watched
very
it, right?
exciting. And I've seen that twice. I love it. And he's this is one of the films that directly inspired his production. And he talks about that even in the most recent interviews, but talks about it in his afterword in this book.
Wow.
And I very proudly won Writer of the Year, the Rondo Award for Writer of the Year for this book. So,
well, you've won 2 Rondos. I wanted to point that out. I've
won. Well, it's an embarrassment of riches to be. I've won 7 total. 3 of them for Frankenstein: The True Story projects, and but Mark Maddox still holds the record. I think he has like 10 or 11 now. It's incredible. He's always gets Artist of the Year. I think Sven Gulli has beat him. I think Sven Gulli has won more rondos for Horror Host of the Year.
Yeah, I'm good friends with another horror host, Dick Dysel, who was, of course, Count Gordeval.
Yes.
And just it's a dying breed.
Well, guess who created the horror host genre? The granddaddy of it all.
Scary Terry? Was it Scary Terry? Whatever.
No.
From Ohio, Indiana?
The person who started the entire horror host thing is the producer of Frankenstein: The True Story, the gay producer, Hunt Stromberg Jr. In 1954, he became head of programming for WABC TV in Los Angeles and discovered Mela Nurmi and created, wrote, and produced her show, The Vampira Show, and turned her into a national sensation. And he started that whole thing. I mean, yeah, you could cite a couple of precursors to Vampira, but Vampira was the one who got traction and really started the trend of horror hosts all over the nation.
All over the country, yeah.
Yeah, it's amazing. And this guy, he not only discovered her, then because of his success with that, he ended up getting snapped up by CBS, who made him vice president of programming. And at CBS, he, developed and greenlit and championed a few shows that you might have heard of, like The Munsters. He personally cast Yvonne DiCarlo as Lily. It was a different actress in the pilot.
And she came in and everybody resented her. And then all of a sudden, she won him over because she was great as Lily.
and he added the 2 white streaks to her hair as an homage to Bride of Frankenstein. He developed the Wild Wild West, Alfred Hitchcock Presents, and the Alfred Hitchcock Hour, the Gilligan's Island, My Favorite Martian. Just the list goes on.
That's my childhood
on.
right there, man.
Yeah,
That's my childhood. Everything.
And
you just
it's
said.
a lot of this is in your book as well.
It's in my book.
You have a lot of backstory on
and
this.
also, in 1962, he was also in charge of Route 66, which was a CBS show, and he wanted to do a special Halloween edition, and so he cast Boris Karloff, Peter Lorre, Lon Chaney Jr., and Martita Hunt from Hammer's Brides of Dracula. I mean, talk about monster kid. And then because he'd known Boris since he was a child and was a family friend, his father not only produced Mask of Fu Manchu, but also Lured with Boris Karloff and Lucille Ball. And he convinced Boris to put on his Frankenstein monster makeup one last time. And that's why we see that one last Boris as the Frankenstein monster in that show. And he also got Lon Chaney to be the Wolfman, to be the Mummy, and even a tribute to his own dad, Lon Chaney Sr. as the, I think it was the Hunchback of Notre Dame, could have been Phantom, but I think it was the Hunchback. And all of that because of Hunt Stromberg Jr. being a fanboy like us. And then after a few years at CBS, where he was just the golden boy, at one point, CBS had the top he had 14 of the top 15 highest rated shows on television. That's how successful he was. I mean, there's nobody that's ever even come close to that on any chart, except maybe Taylor Swift. Okay, so then then he became an independent producer, and all he cared about was making this Frankenstein film. And it was just, he was determined it was going to happen no matter what. So he's quite an individual.
I was 9 when it aired on TV, and I just got to tell you, man, that had such an impact on me. I was so confused by True Story that I'm like begging my dad to take me to the public library. I got to find out, what do they mean by True Story?
Yeah.
It's like,
Are we doing a slideshow today, Gary?
I don't think Martin wants to do it because this is so much fun doing this. So
if we're doing it, we have to start now.
Well, I don't want to.
Okay.
I kind of like what we're doing here, just having a good conversation about this movie, because we usually do a slideshow of the film.
Oh.
And Martin went through the trouble to do it. So I leave it up to Martin. What do you want to do, brother?
Whatever you want to do. I'm just.
Are you enjoying it this way? Because I like having Sam as the big image.
Yeah.
Totally. Yeah, let's keep it this way. Everybody is adoring, by the way, in the chat, your living area here. They're just loving
one
it.
of the best background we have had ever.
I have ever seen. By the way, I do want to point out we do have a chat, and I need to get to say hello to them because I'm serious, we brag about our chat. They're just the fucking best people. And they say some funny shit. So Andy Masterson, oh yeah, I got to make sure I tag all these people so I can say hi to them. And of course, Penny. So here we go. I'm going to start with Gambit, who is the first in the house here. And Gambit, this is Gambit. And he loves facts. This is a guy that's into what you're talking about right now. He is a fan of information. He loves trivia like I do. And
I love it.
And Daryl Brewer says, that explains the homoeroticism of the vampire genre. And yeah, Anne Rice is the one who really started that shit.
Yeah.
And I'm a big fan. I read all her books up till, I think the last one I read was Ramsey's. And then I didn't read any more Anne Rice because I got a history thing and I just want to read history books. And I've been that way ever since. Barnabas Collins is here. I don't know how he did that. And we want to do that one too, because as much as I love the original TV series, I really enjoyed the 90s revival. And I wanted to do a show just to talk about that season. It was just fucking great.
You're talking about the one with Ben Cross and
Ben Cross as Barnabas,
and
yes.
Barbara Steele as in the Grayson Hall role.
Yeah, exactly. And of course, our good friend Werewolf Jeebus, normally Monkey Jeebus, but it's Halloween, so we changed it to Werewolf Jeebus. Is it gayer than Patrick Stewart kissing a dude in Life Force? No, that's I think that's probably the most gay straight film I've ever seen, right there. And we already introduced Snorty. We got our buddy Daryl Brewer. Afternoon, everyone. My limey prick friend Andy Morrow. I'm having a bad day if he doesn't send me fucking memes in private chat. That guy cheers me up more than anybody. Our new friend Sally Forth is here. She was kind of confused when she came, like, what are we talking about here? Should I leave? Sander Hammerschlag. We have a lot of fans and audience from Europe and from the UK, Ireland, and from continental Europe. And Sander Hammerschlag is one of them. Our good friend Andy Masterson. And that's it. It looks like that's everybody that's joined us, right? Did I get everybody, Martin?
What?
Okay, I'm glad you're producing and making sure I'm doing my job.
Well, hello to everyone who's joined us. Thank you.
Yeah, it's just wonderful, and it's so great to have you here, Sam. I know we normally do the film strip and we talk about scenes, but I'm just going to do this as a hangout with you. And it's so much fun because you are so because I watched that other video. I got halfway through before we had to go live, and I'm like, I got to finish that interview. That was so much fun. And I swear to God, I made the joke to Anima. I'm like, my God, he's got to be doing cocaine. I'm like, you are so high energy when you're talking. I love it. Like Robin Williams on Johnny Carson level stuff.
I don't know what it is. It's just I'm high on life, I guess.
Oh, man. I love that, though. People who are so, and what it is really, and I make the joke, but the fact is, this comes from being a nerd, okay, or a geek, however you want to say it. Nerds are smart geeks, and geeks are just fans. So, but I tend to say nerds because when you know that much trivia, you're a nerd. And that means that you've got a lot of information.
I wear that badge proudly. And
Absolutely.
I loved it when you said that you were focusing on movies that you love, because I'm a big proponent of positivity. We've got enough toxicity out there, enough of negativity, and I don't like to post opinions of movies online because it brings out the haters who want to tear it down, and I'm like, no.
Oh, look, we call it shitting on. Yeah, we call that shitting on, and there's enough of it. There's enough shows out there, YouTube channels that want to do that. Our main focus is to talk about, like on Mondays in particular, Anima, Joe, and I do Military Monday because I'm a veteran, I'm a proud veteran. I work for Dale Dye. You know who that is, right? The military advisor for Saving Private Ryan Platoon, Band of Brothers.
Oh, wow, that's so cool. Congratulations.
I'm his main artist.
Service.
Yeah, I've been with him for 19 years. In March of next year, it will be 20 years working for Del Dye. And he's somebody I can, when I'm bored, I'll call up and ask him if he'll join our show. And he'll jump on because I work for him. I have access to him all the time.
That's fantastic.
And I love talking about military stuff, but that's just for Mondays. The rest of the week, we do a show on Wednesday, a show on Friday, and a show on Saturday, where we focus on movies or great television shows. And instead of trying to shit on everything that's bad out there right now, we go back to when stuff really was put out. And what I love about this, because yes, there's a lot of homosexual information behind the making of the film and within the film. But what's amazing about it is they did it in such a subtle way that if you're not paying attention, you're just watching a really good film.
Yeah. No, you don't have to look at it through that lens. And the relationship between the doctor and the creature can be interpreted any way you want. It can be a father-son, it can be brotherly love, it can be mentor, however you want to interpret it. But once you're aware that the intention was to be gay, it's hard not to miss. then it's
Well, if
suddenly,
you're gay, you
that's
have
this
that
whole other
lens.
thing.
Yeah, and you see it more in like I saw it when I was 11. I was almost 12. I didn't get any of that. It just was. I thought it was just a great
It's
telling
a
of the
Frankenstein
story.
movie.
Yeah,
Yeah, exactly.
and
And
then I'm seeing it later. I kind of picked up a bit on it, but watching it, I watched it again. Actually, I got your book on Sunday, and I just poured through as much as I could of it, and rewatched the movie on Monday. And there are little things that I saw in there, like, oh yeah. One of the things was like after the first half, when the creature tries to self-delete, and then the beginning of the next part, it's Frankenstein has come back. He's gotten married. He's coming back home, and he's got a beard now. And the woman of the house says, "Oh, Henry, you've grown a beard." And I'm like, is she talking about that or Elizabeth?
Yeah, exactly.
I'm like, there it
I hadn't
is.
even thought about that.
But that was the first thing.
That's a Will and Grace
There it
moment
is.
right there, man. Yeah, damn.
we have a
Yes, for
new
sure.
person in the chat right now, Queen Glamazona. Welcome to the show. The creature in this movie looked on Dr. Frankenstein as a father figure. Absolutely did. In fact, one of my favorite emotional moments within the film is when Frankenstein's asleep, sick and asleep, and his Adam comes up to him, touches his face, and then touches his own face, because he's looking for similarities.
Yes.
And that's what causes him to go look for a mirror.
Right.
And I'm like, that was so powerful to me, even as a kid.
So powerful. No, it's so touching. And, for me, even as a kid, I saw Bride of Frankenstein very young, probably 5 or 6 years old, and the original Frankenstein, both on television, on Shock Theater, on Saturday afternoon where I grew up in North Carolina. And
what part?
Asheville.
I'm from Fredericksburg, Virginia, just north of you.
Huh. Well, we had WLOS TV, which was the ABC affiliate in Asheville, and they had the Shock package that was all the syndicated, Universal stuff. And but at any rate, when I saw those Frankenstein films, especially the first two, I was never afraid of the monster, even as a kid. I was like those innocent kids in the films, like the little girl throwing the flowers onto the water at the lake, and the little boy and Son of Frankenstein. And I wanted to hold hands with the monster and help him, and I was always very sympathetic to him in the innocence of it through a child's eyes. And and he was a misunderstood freak of nature, and he only killed people out of self-defense, of people who misunderstood and thought he was trying to hurt somebody or whatever. And so I cried, and I always felt that it was the doctor who was the monster for abandoning his child.
Oh, he is. He is.
Yeah.
And I love that
he is a child.
that Guillermo's new film, he takes that to the nth degree, and he even, I don't want to give anything away for people who hasn't seen it, but there is a moment when he is called. He said, "You're," where someone tells Dr. Frankenstein, "You're the monster," and that resonates so deeply with me, all the way back to childhood. And somehow I subliminally identified with the creature as an outsider. I think we all, whether you're gay, whether you're goth, whether you're a nerd, whatever it is, we've all been outsiders. We all know what it's like to be bullied. We all know what it's like to be different from the quote unquote norm. And I totally identified with the creature on a very primal level. And as I got older and understood that I was gay and closeted and being bullied and called names and everything, it just intensified that identification even more. And so by the time I saw Frankenstein, the True Story at age 17, I was just weeping. It was such an emotional impact on me, that it just, it has resonated and will always be one of my favorite films.
Yeah, and it's the same with me. I'm going to die a fan of this movie, and
Yeah.
it's so moving. And by the way, you brought up something I wanted to go back to, because the sympathy is for the monster. The monster is not a villain. Even in Boris Karloff's, he's a child.
Yeah.
And he doesn't know what's going on. And when he accidentally kills that girl, which is different from what it is in the book, because in the book he's trying to rescue a girl who's drowning and gets shot by her father,
Oh, wow.
because of the way he looks. It looks like he's drowning her when he's trying to rescue her. But
Yeah.
I love that scene because Boris Karloff was so nervous about that first moment with this little girl that he was going to terrify this girl. And instead, that little girl, what the fuck was her name? Marilyn Harris.
That's
Played
right.
Little Maria. And she walked up and grabbed his hand and walked off with him.
Yes. No, and it's exactly
She just
like
loved
the
him.
way that those children are portrayed in all the films. In Ghost of Frankenstein, there's one in almost all of them, it seems like.
Well, you look at the other film, Monster Squad, the same thing happens there.
Oh.
Because the villain, Dracula, is in charge of Frankenstein, but once Monster, once he meets the kids in that story, he's their buddy.
Yeah.
And I love that. The monster is not a villain, and I don't like it when he's turned into a villain, because even though I enjoy the Hammer films, they kind of made him villainous a couple of times, and I didn't like that, because he should always be the innocent victim.
Yeah, and sympathetic. In my favorite of the Hammers is Frankenstein Must Be Destroyed. And
it is the best one,
because of one scene that absolutely brings me to tears every time, and that's Freddie Jones plays the creature, and his brain has been put into a new body, and he goes to see his wife, who of course doesn't recognize him in his new body, and she can't believe it's really him, and he's standing behind this dressing screen and talking to her and trying to convince her who he is, and it's just absolutely gut-wrenching. And I of all the Hammer films, I think it's the most emotional moment of them all. And when I interviewed Terrence Fisher for my fanzine, I told him that, and he said, "Oh dear boy, that is the favorite scene I've ever directed, and it's just, I'm so happy to hear that meant so much to you." And it really is something. And he got it, that the monster is pitiable and is put in this this situation that he didn't bring upon himself. And so yeah, I think they really got it right in that one.
Absolutely agree with you. I'm going to turn to our chat for some comments here and possibly a question. I never know. The film has actually touched on some of the plot points in Mary Shelley's novel. I agree with you. It is my favorite adaptation thus far, but I'm opening my heart because I love Guillermo del Toro. I really do. And
Yeah.
I'm hoping that, because this has been a passion project for him. The Universal
His whole life, really.
Period. Yeah. And I'm looking forward to finally seeing this movie. And I like the cast.
I didn't even know it dropped yet. I thought it was November before it came out. Wow.
It's in theaters now, and then it goes to streaming on Netflix November 7th.
Gotcha.
But I saw it at the IMAX theater, the Chinese in Hollywood, and then I saw it a second time at the New Art in West Hollywood. And the first time I saw it, it was just, I couldn't even be objective. There was just so many things to think about and everything. I had to go see it again just to take it all in. But I highly recommend it.
Yep.
By the way, I just want to let you know, because I see the Frazetta stuff behind you. I'm friends with Sarah Frazetta. We've had her on the channel a few times. She's such a. I also worked with her on a comic book.
That's so cool. So the Egyptian Queen, a print of that is on the wall, and then there's a model of the Egyptian Queen in front of it.
And also behind you is the Trojan with the spear. That's from a Frazetta
Atlantis
piece.
figure or
Yeah.
wataver.
That's another
Back here.
Frazetta piece.
Yes.
Beautiful, man.
Yeah, I'm a huge
Beautiful.
fan of Frazetta.
Ditto. I ended up because my idol was Bernie Wrightson and
Yes.
Al Williamson. And sadly, I never got to meet or work with Al Williamson, but I did get to hang out with Bernie Wrightson before he died.
That's so cool.
My
the
daughter,
Guillermo
and I
del Toro
spent
movie
2 days
is very
together.
much based on is inspired.
Yes, I can tell that it's based on it. The way the
Yeah.
monster looks with the cloak. I'm so.
Oh, and it's
I've got
credited.
goosebumps.
He Bernie Wrightson is credited in the movie, and he thanks him at the end, and it's a huge influence.
Absolutely wonderful. Sander Hammerslag says, and Gary was friends with the late Rutger Hauer. Very true. I made a video about it in our friendship because the first time I met him, he belched in my ear 3 times on the phone. And I was like, and I kept going, is he burping while talking? And he did it 3 times. And I suddenly had this image of him in a wife beater t-shirt with his hand down his pants, like a boxer shorts, just talking to me. And I just thought it was the funniest thing because he doesn't care. He is just one of the most genuine people you will ever fucking meet. And I think you're just like that. I like that.
I would love to meet him. I've always been a huge fan of his.
Absolutely same thing. Sadly, we lost him.
Yeah.
But also,
That's
just so you know,
right.
I'm
Oh
the
my
founder.
God. I'm so sorry.
Yeah.
I forgot about that.
No, it's okay, man. I wish he was still alive. I was friends with him and Morgan Paul from Blade Runner because I'm the founder of the Blade Runner fan club. And I'm close friends with a lot of the cast and crew. And I met Rutger and I instantly hit it off with him. I'm also close friends with Bill Sanderson, who played J.F. Sebastian. And he retired, moved back east. He's in Pennsylvania now. He's got a farm, him and his wife. And it's awesome. But anyway, so Werewolf Jeebus, who said he was leaving, by the way, but he's still posting. I'll probably do some cocaine later tonight at the bar. Thanks for telling us that, Monkey. You're awesome, dude. Let's see. Del Dye is a legend. Yes, he is. Let's see. Worked on Casualty of War. Yes, he did. Gambit's like I said, he's our fact guy. He loves trivia. That's why he watches our show, because I get into the minutia about films, like what you do. We also have a great little New Zealand $2 super chat. I just wanted to show my support and interviews. Amen, Willie. We love you, man, and we deeply appreciate that, dude. And like I said, we've got a global audience for this show because there are nerds everywhere, brother. They're everywhere.
That's for sure. We are quite a legion.
Yes, we are. Have you seen the document? No, I can't watch it, brother. I get really emotional over stuff, and I don't like getting emotional, like getting all weepy and shit. And I will cry if I watch shit about Rutger.
Oh yeah.
Let's see.
God.
This just
That's
some
so
films
sad.
I have trouble watching, man. You know, it's like if it's about somebody I know, like I have trouble, with Facebook. I told you, because of constantly posting stuff about Drew, and I need a break emotionally. I need a break, man. Just can't handle it. Let's see.
No, it's sad.
The creature starter is very handsome. Oh, in this version, yes. In this version, he's very handsome, childlike.
Yes, and that was very unique at the time. It was such a clever idea that came from the screenwriter Christopher Isherwood, who was trying to figure out. They wanted to inject a lot of new ideas and not just do a straight remake. And they really tried to update things
creature. Yeah.
Inject it with fresh ideas. And that idea, I thought, was one of the most brilliant, if not the most brilliant change, was to start the creature off beautiful, and it emphasized the attraction that Dr. Frankenstein had. And of course, you're thinking of, if you're creating life and you're creating your own atom, you want it to be the most beautiful it could possibly be. And so that's what he does. And then only later does the experiment go awry and the skin starts to deteriorate, and that's when the doctor abandons him because he's no longer beautiful and the experiment has failed.
And that makes it more painful to the creature as well, because he starts off being treated so well. He's taken to society, goes to see the Figaro performance, and he loves it. He's getting all this attention, and he's being treated so well. Everything's beautiful. And then
everything's beautiful, and
just torn away from
that, and he loves that. And now, once he becomes ugly, with the skin deteriorating, all of that goes away. Not only has the doctor abandoned him, but anybody who sees him is afraid of him. And of course there's the poignant part of the film when he befriends the blind man, like he did in Bride of Frankenstein, played by the great Sir Ralph Richardson. And it's one of the only people on earth who would treat him without judgment over his looks. And that whole sequence was so touching and beautifully done again. And I'm happy to say that Guillermo del Toro's movie has a character like that as well. But you're absolutely right. Having the creature start beautiful was just a brilliant idea. You'll also notice that originally, when they were writing the script, when it came time for the creature to be brought to life, even the screenwriters were originally going after the electricity and the storm and the lightning and all of that, and it was the producer, Hunt Stromberg Jr., who said, well, you know what, we've kind of seen all that, and it has become so trope in every film. Can't we do something different? And he said, what if we did solar power? And talk about ahead of his time.
That was cool.
It's done in broad daylight, and they're collecting the power of the sun through mirror into battery, these huge, beautiful tanks that are these giant batteries and everything. I thought that was just a brilliant idea. And it really, it just seems so to be so prophetic of where we are today with solar power and collecting energy from the sun. I thought that was great. And then when the female creature is brought to life, of course, that one is being spearheaded by Dr. Polidori, who again was based on Dr. Pretorius. And if you recall, in Bride of Frankenstein, Dr. Pretorius grew little miniature humanoids in these bottles.
That was the most bizarre thing for me as a kid.
I know it. And he grew them with chemicals. And so he was much more of the chemical guy and not electricity. And so for bringing in the way that they interpreted this for Frankenstein, the True Story, is that he did it all through chemicals and mysticism, and he brings this whole sort of Asian influence into the laboratory himself. He has two Asian kind of, coolies that are his whatever you want to call them, his houseboy. And they redecorate the whole place in Asian decor, and they have all these, this sort of Asian mysticism and chemicals and stuff that bring her to life. And so it was I thought that they kept it really fresh and constantly interesting. There wasn't just, when you think about the two creation scenes in Frankenstein and Bride of Frankenstein, they're quite identical, even down to the camera angles and everything. They put the monster in the first one and the bride in the second one on the slab of that table, and they rise up to the roof and they wait for the lightning to strike and they go back down. But Hunt Stromberg didn't want to do that. He wanted everything to be fresh even as it went along in the film, which I thought was really handled very well.
I think that one of my favorite lines from any Frankenstein is actually, even though I don't like Mary Shelley's Frankenstein from I think 93 or 94, Not a fan. We covered it a week ago.
I'm not a
And
fan.
I just
Talking about the De Niro one. Yeah.
yeah, I felt the casting was awful. But
Yeah.
there is a line in that film. I love the way it was adapted in the film when he has him alone in that ice cave. He says, I do know that for the sympathy of one living being, I would make peace with all. I have love in me, the likes of which you can scarcely imagine, and rage the likes of which you would not believe. If I cannot satisfy the one, I will indulge the other. And no matter how much I dislike that movie, I love that fucking line.
That is a great passage. That really is. I love that
That's
too.
the creature. Because he does the same thing in The Bride. When he gets rejected by the bride, he loses his shit because it was his last hope of having somebody that wouldn't reject him.
A companion, yeah, who wouldn't reject him. I know, and it's just one rejection after the other to the point where.
Oh, Sammy, there we lost you for a second.
Can you hear me now?
Yep.
Yeah. Just fine.
Okay, good.
Just glitched out for a second.
Yeah, glitched out for the second half of that sentence. We didn't hear the second half.
I was agreeing with you.
Absolutely. Because what I disliked, the over-the-topness of that film, and it felt like a vanity project for Kenneth Branagh rather than a love for the story.
Yes.
And I was turned off by most of it. And I like Kenneth Branagh. I just didn't like that.
Yeah.
Movie.
It's interesting. That film was produced by Francis Ford Coppola, and Francis has always been a huge fan of Frankenstein, and he actually begged Universal to let him direct Frankenstein, the true story, and very much wanted to do it.
Really?
Yes, and it was right after The Godfather, and at the height of his.
Why would they say no?
Success. Well, here's why. He said he wanted to do it, but he only wanted to do it if they would turn it into a theatrical film, and they didn't. They didn't want to do that. They'd already promised it to NBC, but also Francis had gone $1 million over budget on The Godfather, which was a very significant percentage of the budget of the film back then, and nowadays it would be more like going over by 50 million, and they were just very terrified that he, especially having won the Oscar and everything else, that he would be very difficult to control and could possibly go even more over budget. And they just didn't trust it. And they wanted to make sure that they had somebody in there who was a production-friendly director who would stick to the budget and not go crazy, which is why Smite ended up being hired. He was at that time on contract with Universal, doing a lot of television films and stuff, and they trusted him. And he had done work in England, which is where this film was shot, and so that's how he ended up getting the job. The other person who wanted to direct this movie was John Boorman, right on the heels of Deliverance, which again was his big Oscar,
I'm a big Boorman fan. I love that guy.
Excalibur is still the measuring stick, boys and girls.
Absolutely. It's the greatest Arthurian film ever made.
Yep.
Well, you'll see in my book, I have the actual letter that John Boorman wrote to Lou Wasserman, who was the head of MCA and Universal, begging him to let him do it. And he was friends with the writers, Don Bacardi and Richard Fisherwood. And he wanted to do it with John Voight as Dr. Frankenstein and Warren Beatty as the creature. Now that would have been interesting. I don't know. But that'd have
been weird.
I know it might have been weird. But when Coppola was going to be doing it, he wanted Brando to play Dr. Polidori.
Oh my
that would have been the Dr. Moreau. That would have been.
Oh my God! Yeah, it's like because he's so problematic, but at the same time, he really does deliver weird in a way that nobody can do. I mean, that movie he did, The Missouri Breaks with Nicholson. That's one of my favorite fucking villains in the history of film, and you have to watch it to fucking see what I mean, because there's no describing that character that he played in that film.
He always brings something interesting, and I think he would have made an interesting Dr. Polidori. I really do, especially when he starts going off the deep end with all of the Asian influence, and I think he would have brought it even further into his wardrobe and everything. It could have been really wild.
And by the way, back in the day, I like doing impressions. I used to be much better at it. I've gotten older and don't care. But the one I've always loved doing is Mason, because I said,
yes.
Here's how you do James Mason. You do a posh English accent and then press down like you have to take a shit. And it comes out like this. Hello, my name is James Mason.
That's perfect.
Oh, man. So we got some comments here. I think one is really kind of a question right here. I understand a shorter version of this was shown as a feature overseas. I don't know about that.
Yes,
Do you know?
Good question. That is a very good question.
Thank you, Queen
here's the
Glemazona.
skinny on that. The movie was made for NBC, but then it was released theatrically in other countries like the UK, Spain, Mexico, Portugal, a few others, but they cut it down from it was shown over 2 nights, 2 hours each night. But once you took away the commercials, it was a 3-hour movie. But for the theatrical release in these other countries, they cut it down to 2 hours. So literally a third of the film is missing. And I do not recommend that anyone sees the 2-hour version because it's just painful. It doesn't make sense. And it's just a butchered version and a bastardization.
They cut out the wrong things, right? Yeah.
Now,
Oh, as always, because it's not an editor doing it.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, exactly. It wasn't the editor on the film. Now, here's the problem. When home video started to come in, started to be popular in the late 70s.
was one of the first too.
They could only fit the 2-hour version on a video cassette. And that's what got released. And so a lot of people who saw Frankenstein, the True Story for the first time on home video thought they were seeing the whole thing, and they were being introduced to this bastardized version, which was another reason why the reputation of this film has suffered over the years. Now, there is one reason to watch the longer version. I mean, the shorter version, and here it is. You don't want to look at it as your first viewing. You want to see the whole thing. But the theatrical 2-hour version does have a tiny bit more of the gore. And the best example is when, okay, this is going to be a big spoiler. Should we do spoilers?
Yeah, do it.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. Yeah, the film's been out 50 years. Okay.
Right.
Well, one of the most shocking scenes in this movie, and incredibly shocking for television at the time, is when the creature, Michael Sarrazin, bursts into the ball, the debutante ball, where the female creature Prima is having her presentation or whatever, her into society, and she's in the middle of a dance, and he bursts in, stops everything, he crosses the room, and he rips her head off. And it is one of the most shocking moments ever. And
throws it or rolls it at Polidorus. And
right at his feet. Yes.
So, but when he pulls her head off in the television version, they very carefully kind of zoomed in or cropped in really tight. So the bottom of the screen is right at where her neck has come off, and you don't see the entrails hanging down and dripping. In the 2-hour version, that shot is wider, and you can see the entrails, and it's gorier. And so if you do want to see those few frames or seconds here and there where it does get a little gorier, you can sort of fast forward to those moments in the 2-hour version and get to see a little bit more of what they actually shot. But otherwise, I do not recommend the 2-hour version. It's just
it sounds awful.
Yeah, it's
I
terrible.
didn't see it again until I got a copy off of Amazon.
Yeah.
And I was just so tickled to have that movie. And
Yes.
it's like, I tell people all the time, I love this movie. And they go, what? They don't know the movie. And I'm like,
No, they
how do
don't.
you not know this movie?
Oh yeah,
This is
I
one of
never
the
saw it
greatest
again
films
until
of all
I
time.
got this version of the DVD.
That's the version I got. That's the
Yeah,
version I got.
and I like, oh, I got to get that. I hadn't seen this since it was on in '73.
Yeah,
It's
I
not
forgot.
a-
I want to see it again.
It's not a big version. It's basically a vault copy version
Yeah.
of the film. There's no
But when we released this right as COVID was happening in 2019, Shout Factory restoration of the film. It's the
and you
most
got an
beautiful,
hour commentary on that, by the way.
But yeah, for 3-hour audio commentary on here, and
It's 3 hours. Okay.
3 hours.
No, I know the movie's 3 hours, but I thought your commentary was about an hour long. So you did the whole thing.
No, it's 3 hours. It's every inch of the movie. I'm blabbing away, which you can't imagine that, but I actually did.
Yeah, you seem like the quiet, shy type.
Yeah, I'm the quiet, shy type. Anyway, the other thing about this, I mean, the restoration. I mean, just imagine, even NBC back in the day showing it. It was shot in 35 millimeter, absolutely beautiful photography. But even just the resolution on a TV screen back in the day was not what you would see now on a Blu-ray. And this restoration is it's the best it's ever been seen by anybody. It's so beautiful. And the other, aside from the extras and everything that I added to this, there was an introduction to this film when it showed on NBC, and there are several reasons why they did an introduction. One was they cut out, unfortunately, and it's been lost. There was a prologue to this movie, kind of like the prologue in Bride of Frankenstein, where you have Mary Shelley sitting with Lord Byron and her fiance, and she starts to tell the story, and then it flashes back to what you see in the Bride of Frankenstein. Right. Well, in this, they had Mary Shelley at Lake Geneva in Switzerland, by the lake in broad daylight, with Dr. Polidori and Lord Byron and everyone, and they're all played by the actors playing these other sort of similar characters in the film, and she starts to tell the story, and then it goes into the story. Well, NBC felt that when people were tuning in for a Frankenstein film, this was going to be very confusing, and it went on for 7 or 8 minutes, and they just felt like it just takes too long to get the film going, and people are going to be changing the channel and tuning out. And they decided, we got to lose that. Well, James Mason played Dr. Polidori, the real life version of Dr. Polidori, in that prologue. But once the prologue was cut out, then his character was not introduced in the film for like 45 minutes at least. And because he was the biggest star, they decided we need to give a taste of James Mason to the audience. And so let's create an introduction where he can just be James Mason in modern day London talking about the film, and have him walking in a cemetery where Mary Shelley's gravestone is, and talking just about, the film, and showing lots of clips from the film, which are spoilers of everything. It's unbelievable. They spoiled every single thing that exciting that happened in the film in those clips. But the most outrageous thing about this introduction, and I cannot for the life of me figure out how in the world anybody let this happen and how it happened. And the producer was there directing it himself, because Jack Smite had already gone back to America. And James Mason is there, fully aware of this. And they are not at the cemetery where Mary Shelley was buried. And the gravestone that says Mary Shelley was a prop gravestone that was created by the art department that looks nothing like the real Mary Shelley gravestone. And they're just these charlatans where he's pointing to it going, this is Mary Shelley's grave. And I'm like, oh my God, I can't believe they did it, but they did. But I guess they were making fun of the title, The True Story, because this was the phoniest, most false thing ever of the whole production. And so I don't know how that happened, but that introduction is on here as well, which is kind of fun.
Okay, I've got to get a copy of this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, it's in this old one too. When I
okay.
watching this,
then I have it.
That's
Okay.
not her grave.
Yeah, it's like, oh my Lord, it's so crazy. But who would know? I mean, not many people would know what the real Mary Shelley grave looks like, so they got away with it. And oh my God, it's crazy.
So here we go. We got another one for you from Willie the Monkey King's Music. Mr. Irwin, I'm going to watch this film for the first time after the stream. I love Bride and Karloff's Frankenstein. How would True Story compare to those movies? Thank you.
Well, my favorite film of all time is The Bride of Frankenstein. And I also love the original Frankenstein, both of the James Whale films, but Bride has a special place in my heart. My third favorite of all time is Frankenstein, the True Story. They're all right up there. We're splitting hairs, in my opinion. I think they're all brilliant. And I think that if you like those James Whale ones, that you're going to like this one. I think you'll be very, very pleasantly surprised.
And I want to thank you again for being a producer on that film, Gods and Monsters. Because I think we're probably going to talk about that within 2 weeks. And if you're available, I'd love to have you back to talk about that movie, because I'm telling you, I know it's fictional, but it's also got the truth in there. I think there's some great biographical information in there. And the more biographical a film is, the more I love it. Because I grew up in a household where my father was a professor of history. And so I have a love for the history of not just real history, but the history of fiction and the history that led to that fiction that's based on truth. And with Frankenstein, there was a lot of inspiration in that from real people. And galvanism is one of those things. And I think it was Queen that brought that up, that this movie shows galvanism with Polydorus.
Yeah, for sure. And the with Gods and Monsters, I mean, I feel so lucky to have been a small part of that as a co-executive producer. But I was, because Bride of Frankenstein is my favorite film of all time, I was just so delighted when we had a scene that was a flashback of James Whale directing Bride of Frankenstein on the laboratory set with Sir Ian McKellen playing James Whale, and we found an actress, Rosalind, oh gosh, I can't think of her last name.
Your Karloff is really good too. The actor.
Yes, and she looked just like the bride, and we, tried to recreate the laboratory set as close to the original as we could, and we found some of the original Kenneth Strickfaden electrical equipment that had been used in Frankenstein and Bride of Frankenstein, and also used by Mel Brooks in Young Frankenstein. And I hate to taint it, but it was also used in Dracula versus Frankenstein, the one with Xander Vorkov and Forrest J. Ackerman and everything in the late 60s, a B movie, but it was used there as well. And anyway, it's got quite a history, and I'm so thrilled about that we were able to use it. And then later to find out that Hunt Stromberg Jr., the producer of Frankenstein, the True Story, actually knew Kenneth Strickfaden, and that Kenneth Strickfaden had worked on his dad's film of Mask of Fu Manchu and things like that. It just, God, the history of that equipment alone just makes the hair on the back of my neck stand up, which is what would happen when you turn on that equipment.
I
have to watch Mask of Fu Manchu again, because you had mentions about that in your book, and I'm like, oh god, I haven't seen that in a long time. I haven't.
Yes,
on DVD,
it is.
So like, oh,
It is a wild movie. It's quite racist. So you got to be, you got to take that into account.
Yeah, well, 1932.
Yeah, it's 1932. But oh man, and it's very gay. Karloff's Fu Manchu is as gay as can be. He's just running his fingers up and down the torso of the most beautiful guy who's on the slab, and his daughter, played by Myrna Loy, is this sadistic sort of dominatrix who wants to whip and torture people. I mean, it's wild. Again, it was before the Hays Code. Never would have passed if it had been made a few years
Well,
later.
that was one of the worst things to happen to film is the Hays Code, and then later the MPAA. Not a fan. Not a fan. I think that studios should self-regulate and should rate the films themselves. That's bullshit what they do.
Well, the reason all of those were started is that if they had not done those, then the government was going to step in and start censoring. And
and you know what, the government involved with anything, it's like, good grief.
Yeah.
So, hey,
that would have been a disaster.
We have a dear friend in the chat right now, is my buddy Zach. He used to be a producer on this show, and I suggested that he should do his own channel sometime. And I figured, though, that he wouldn't quit. And he broke my heart, made me cry, but he has a great channel. I love hanging out with him, and I love Zach's. And this one's for you, Zach, because his real name is Kyle.
Well, fuck you, Kyle.
I know you should have probably shown the Renfield clip instead, considering our subject matter today.
Oh, well, yes, I should. Thank you, D-Bud. See, that's what a producer does, Martin, but don't. No, he's just taking my abuse today. I swear to God, he's not saying anything back to me.
He knows you're having a good time.
He's kidding every day to Martin.
Well, this is Martin right now when I'm saying all the shit to him. This is him.
Luis, una chingada, vámonos, cabrón. ¡Esto es el procedimiento! ¡A la chingada el procedimiento, cabrón, vámonos!
He gets so mad at me. So where is that? Where is that? Do you see it, Martin? I don't see it up here. The video that D-Bud was talking about. Anybody in the back? I'm alone. Okay.
Yeah, you're alone. You're obviously alone. We're just along for the ride, me and D-Bud, buddy.
Yeah.
This is me right now.
I
can't do it. Okay. We'll do it live. Okay. We'll do it live. Fuck it.
I've been playing that clip at the beginning of my shows lately, man. I love it.
I love that clip. It's like,
that's a good one.
Because I'm never that annoyed. I'm really not. It's just I think that's funny when he lost his shit on that entertainment news show he was on for years. Here it is. I found it.
He was running from something, sir. And then he crashed into a DUI checkpoint, committed 10 felonies, and not to mention FUing a room full of cops.
You FU me all the time.
Fuck you, Kyle!
I love
We
her.
love movies on this channel. Yeah, she's annoying in everything except for that movie. That's the only thing I've ever liked her in. I saw that crazy Asian wedding thing, and she annoyed the crap out of me. Love the movie. Couldn't stand her, but man,
her name's Awkwafina, right?
Awkwafina,
yeah. I think she's great in Renfield. It's a great movie.
I couldn't imagine anybody else in that role. She nailed it.
Yeah,
I'm like, that was it. You were born for that one role, Awkwafina. Go back to doing what you did before because you're not funny. I really loved her in that movie. She's great. And by the way, did you like that movie, Renfield?
I did.
Isn't it great?
I did. I think a lot of people kind of missed the point of it. I got a kick out of it. I enjoyed it.
I just giggle when I watch that movie.
I didn't even see it until you talked about it, Gary, and I watched it after you did a show on it. And I'm like, oh, yeah, this is great.
This is fucking great, man. Funny as shit. I did not expect them to do the recreations of the Dracula scenes.
Yeah, and I thought that was great, and I thought Nicolas Cage was hilarious. I wish they
He
had
was
done
so
more.
hammy in just the right way.
Yeah,
so
it was
hammy.
perfect.
And I want a sequel so badly. I don't normally
Oh, me
say
too.
that.
I would
I want
love
more.
that.
I want more of that universe. But I'll tell you something else I would love. I'd actually love to see Hamlet by Schwarzenegger.
Hey, Claudius. You killed my father. Big mistake.
Something is rotten in the state of Denmark. And Hamlet is taking out the trash.
Stay thy hand, fair prince.
Who said I'm fair?
Man, you know, the mock trailers that they make in these movies, the one I've always wanted to see is The Night the Reindeer Died. That's the one I want to see.
The Night the Reindeer Died.
Absolutely.
I'm telling you, man, I fucking love that shit. But
I want to see Lee Majors killing a bunch of terrorists trying to take out the North Pole. That'd be awesome.
That is such a great parody to the Great Dickens Tale. I love that movie.
Yep.
And then they have jokes within the movie about how bad television can get. And it's funny. The Night the Reindeer Died. Lee Majors with what was he carrying? An M60, I think. It was
I don't remember what he had, but all I know is him and Santa, you've been a real good boy this year, Lee. He's like, okay, whatever.
Absolutely. Of course.
Great.
Yep.
And this one is a clip I captured earlier of Joe here that's on our panel. This is a great video of Joe talking about life.
What's the secret?
I don't dare tell you.
No meat. You don't eat meat.
I masturbate a lot.
Okay, I think.
Oh,
got to clear the pipes, you know.
Got to clear the pipes. So let's move into one last thing. It's like after the film was produced, how did it do on television? What were the Nielsen ratings like for it?
The ratings were very good. In fact, night 2 beat night 1 because the word of mouth was so incredible. And then they reran it 1 year later in December of '74. This time in late December, I think it was actually December 30th and 31st maybe, and it did even better. It did not get any Emmy nominations. Horror was, I don't think, particularly respected back in those days. And I think it should have absolutely been nominated, especially for Michael Sarrazin as the creature. And there were a lot of reviews that predicted he would be nominated. The reviews were sublime. There was you could hardly find a bad review. Even though the reviews, as I mentioned, might start out on the first paragraph saying this isn't really the true story. Once they got into the actual talking about the film itself, the critics were unanimous and absolutely loving it. But you know, it's a TV movie. Back then, TV movies didn't have the respect that they have today. And it was kind of forgotten about, and it just kind of disappeared into the ether and only started turning up again on home video in this horrible butchered 2-hour version. So people were getting the wrong idea when they were watching it for the first time. When it would show on television, the Universal offered TV either the 2-hour version, which got shown a lot on TV, and when they would have the 4-hour version, or the long version, 4 hours, I guess, with commercials, it would be shown late at night or split up in weird ways and stuff, and it just TV, it didn't fit in nicely with TV, with local TV syndicated sort of time slots, so it just didn't get shown very often. And it was hard to see, and certainly hard to see the full version for literally decades. So it just its reputation just kind of withered on the vine. In England, it showed in theaters with that terrible 2-hour version, got terrible reviews, did terrible business, and got off the screens within a couple of weeks. And then there was such an outcry to see the full version that the BBC got the whole 3-hour version and showed it on one night all together in 75, I believe. So 2 years after we had seen it. And it had a huge renaissance there, and people loved it. And it was, but again, it just didn't rerun very often, and was hard, and was very hard to see. You couldn't get it on home video for really until the 90s, when finally it came out with Universal. And
mostly you would see him, like I just occasionally see him at a convention. You'd find bootlegs.
Bootlegs, and then it wasn't until 2006 or something when that one with the brown cover that Universal.
That's the one I got, and I got it. I think I got it in 07.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
I was
2007.
shocked.
Yeah, so
I was shocked when it came out. I was like, "Oh my god!
Yeah,
I better buy this before it's gone." You know?
Yeah, exactly. And so it just didn't have people just didn't see it, and it got forgotten about.
Absolutely, and that's why we do this show, is to try to bring these things forward. What's interesting about our show is it depends on the film we're talking about. We'll get thousands of views on the show, but sometimes, like if we're doing films that people don't know about, we'll only get a few hundred views on the show, and that always breaks my heart because the algorithm should be pushing this stuff out there better.
No, absolutely. And I've been
need to watch these films.
My crusade with doing this book and everything is all about trying to restore its reputation and bring it back into being rediscovered and discovered for the first time, really, by a lot of people.
And over on Amazon, you've got this one, The Epic Saga Behind Frankenstein, The True Story.
Yep.
This is by Sam Irvin here. And you've got this one, Little Shop of Horrors, the entire issue, which you wrote that long, you extended the magazine because of it. Discussion about this film. So you guys can go get these. They are available. And then there's this little film, Confessions of a Brian De Palma Protege, How I Shadowed the Director on The Fury Dressed to Kill and More, which is fascinating.
Yeah, not a film, but a book.
Yeah, that was a book.
And that's my latest book. It's I started my career as Brian De Palma's assistant, and that's what this book covers. All of working with him on The Fury, Dressed to Kill, home movies.
The Fury is one of my favorite movies.
He worked with my boss too. His movie, the Vietnam War film that he did, Dale Dye, was in the movie, and he was the military advisor on it. Yeah,
that's so great. Casualties.
I would love to get that. And Mark Maddox, as I recall, did the artwork for that too, didn't he?
On the cover of this book is my cartoonist friend Dan.
Oh,
Gallagher,
it's not Mark. Okay.
Who did all these great cartoons?
I love the cartoons on there. That's great.
Yeah, it's really
Phantom
fun.
of the Paradise.
Phantom of the Paradise, man.
Look at that. And he's flying in with the toilet plunger.
It's a plunger. Yep. Yeah.
And then on the back cover, that is me in 1979 in the elevator with Angie
Dressed to
Dickinson,
Kill, must have been.
when
Yeah.
she gets
Oh my
murdered.
God, Angie Dickinson.
Yep.
Look at
That's
that.
the broad. I'm going to quote my dad. That's a broad I'd love to bang.
That's a broad. No doubt.
And look at all that red hair I have too.
Oh my God.
Now I'm just totally bald and gray.
You're a ginger. Oh crap.
Yeah,
My
I was a
fiance's
ginger.
a ginger too.
Oh,
And
wow.
gingers are awesome. I have my middle son's who's also an artist. All my kids are artists. What am I talking about? My daughter is a very emo, likes to wear goth type clothes, but she's emo, and she's a tattoo artist.
Oh wow,
And
that's cool.
It's incredible work she does. And then my middle son is an illustrator, comic artist, and he's Sean. And then my oldest boy started out as a sculptor, illustrator, but became a writer. And mostly all he writes is gay fiction.
Wow,
and
that's
makes
fantastic.
he makes a decent living at it. So I love that. I love that my kids are doing what they love doing, which is the same shit that I do. I'm a writer and an artist.
Oh, that's great. Well, I got got a lot of PTSD working in this crazy business over passion projects that I tried to get off the ground that never worked out. And I finally drew the line in the sand in the last few years where I'm strictly now just a director for hire on projects that have already been written and developed, gone through development hell. They're already financed and ready to go. And I do a lot of Lifetime thrillers and Hallmark Christmas movies. And I have great fun doing them. But it's a job. It's in and out. You know, they call me. We're starting next week with pre-production for 3 weeks, and then we shoot, and then you deliver your director's cut, and that's it. And I love this snappy in and out of it, and that's great. But instead of writing scripts, which I used to do, and have a whole stack that never got produced, I decided to shift my writing into books that I can control and they can actually get out there without a committee of a billion notes. And you know, that's what I don't make a big living at the books I write, but they're labors of love, and I just adore doing that.
Well, I got to point out that I'm friends with Bruce Campbell. I've known him for years. My first professional gig for film was Running Time by Josh Becker with Bruce Campbell, and I did post-production art that was meant for to promote the film. And Bruce was blown away that I drew his chin correctly. And if you go to my website, there's a quote by Bruce Campbell about my art being groovy, baby. But
that's so great.
Bruce got to work on a Hallmark Christmas film, and he said, "This was the best experience of my life. It was so calm.
Yep.
It was do the job, get the job done. Everybody's in a good mood." He says, "If I don't ever have to make another movie but Hallmark movies, I will fucking do it."
Yeah,
because it was
I'm
such
totally
a good
with
experience. So I was letting you know he feels the exact same way.
Yeah,
you know.
No, I get it. I love the book that he wrote, by the way, his memoir. I forget the name of it. But I remember it was a good title or something like On the Fringe or so. You know, I forget what it was.
Well, he had one about his chin, and then the other one was almost like a romance book about his life. It was funny as shit.
Yeah.
He's funny. He's a funny dude. Josh always said I was one of the few people to zing him back. We're eating dinner one night at a Chinese restaurant with one of those rotating food carousel things. And we're talking, Josh Becker and I are big history guys. And Bruce is talking to my then wife. And he hears what Josh and I are talking about was a Newsweek article about the planes wars here in America. And, you know, Bruce turns to me and says, "Oh, I read that article. Like, it says over 1 million American Indians were killed in that war." And I turned to him and I said, "Bruce, talk to my wife. The adults are talking." And Josh and I went back to our conversation. But the next thing I did in the same fucking dinner, he says something about, this is before he moved to Oregon. And he says, "Yeah, I'm leaving Hollywood. I got to move up to Oregon, get the hell out of there." I said, "Yeah, there's a lot more room for your ego to grow up there." And Josh is like, "You have no respect. You will shit on somebody just to fuck with them." But it's so funny because I always assumed Bruce didn't like me. But Rue Morgue magazine did an interview with him and asked him, you like working with Gary on stuff?" And he goes, "Yeah, I like that guy. He's a good dude. He's funny." And I'm like, he's lying. He hates my guts, and I know he does.
He's a great guy. I wish I did get to know him more. We almost worked out on a film, but it didn't
maybe
work
you'll
out.
get to do a Hallmark film with him.
Yeah, maybe. You never know. That would be awesome.
He wants a sequel to the film that they did.
Yeah.
It was him and another guy. I forget who it is. And they used to have a folk band together. They broke up. And Christmas brings them back together again in this film. And that was funny. Bruce can't sing and he can't play guitar. Well, that was funny. And so everybody liked him in the Evil Dead series. Come on, dude. Be original.
Oh, God. Evil Dead 2 is my favorite, of course, of that whole series. I think it's just brilliant. God, so good.
What were the films that inspired you? to want to be a filmmaker?
Well, I mean, certainly, Bride of Frankenstein that I keep mentioning, that was huge, huge, huge. Also, The Pit and the Pendulum, the Vincent Price.
Oh my God, Hammer! Oh yes,
and Hammer. But the first horror movie I remember seeing as a kid was Pit and the Pendulum at the age of 5 at my dad's theater, first run in 1961, and it completely blew me away. And I ended up becoming very close friends with Vincent Price, and then ended up being able to direct Elvira's Haunted Hills, which was a spoof of Pit and the Pendulum, and we built a Pit and the Pendulum set and everything. I mean, it really has had a huge influence on me and my life all the way through, full circle.
That movie is one of the first horror films I fell in love with. And I was young too, but I saw it on television. And I'm like, Vincent Price is one of those people. I made a list the other day. The list of people who I remember exactly where I was, what I was doing when it was announced they died. And I was doing side work for a medical company because I was a paramedic, and do in-home respiratory tests and shit like that for patients to see if they need oximetry and stuff like that. And I had to pull over on the side of the road. That one and Gene Roddenberry. I cried when they died because Vince was so important to me. I loved it when he would go on shows and do recipes. He was a chef.
And he'd cook the salmon in the dishwasher. That was one of the main things he did.
Yeah, he would do the funniest shit, and he would always make it so. The anecdotal jokes that he would make while he was on a show. He was a one of a kind, Vincent Price.
He really was. We dedicated Elvira's Haunted Hills to him, and Cassandra Peterson, who was Elvira, she also was very close friends with him as well, and he just was magnificent. I met him at the age of 14 and remained close friends with him all the way until he passed.
You lucky bastard! Oh God, I would have loved to have met him.
He was magnificent. I write all about my relationship with him in my other book, I Was a Teenage Monster Hunter. Notice how I snuck that little plug in there. You plug away, man. It's a collection of the 35 interviews I did with horror film royalty when I was doing my fanzine Bazaar as a teenager. And it's all about, in addition to the interviews, it's all about how I bamboozled each one of them as a teenager, and I go into all of that, and it's sort of a
How
memoir.
did you bamboozle, and who was it?
What's that?
How did you bamboozle them, and who was it?
Well, I bamboozled every single one of them, but the day that was the most crazy was I convinced my parents at the high school graduation gift to send me to England so that I could interview some of these people in person. And I interviewed Christopher Lee through the mail, through a questionnaire for an earlier edition of my fanzine. But as soon as I convinced my parents to send me to England, I wrote to him, along with many others, saying that I'm coming to England. I'd love to meet you and do a follow-up interview in person. And Christopher Lee was the first one to write me back. And he said, here's my phone number. Call me when you get to town. I'd love to meet you, and we'll have lunch. And so I call him when I get there.
Wow.
He said, I'm working. And I immediately thought, uh-oh, that's code for no. But he said, so unfortunately, if we have lunch, you'd have to come out to Pinewood Studios. Would you mind? And I'm like,
oh, you can't do that. No.
So I go out to Pinewood Studios, and I couldn't talk to him long on the phone, so I didn't even know what he was working on. There's no internet back then or whatever. And I was hoping it would be a horror film or something. I didn't know what it was. I get out there. He is shooting The Man with the Golden Gun, the James Bond movie. And he's playing the villain, Scaramanga, the Man with the Golden Gun. And that
extra nipple, let's not forget that.
With the third nipple, yes. And so we have lunch. I interview him. I had my tape recorder. He got broken for lunch early, so it was just us alone in the beautiful Pinewood dining room. And then after about an hour, the rest of the cast and crew were broke for lunch. And in walks, he introduces me to Roger Moore and Britt Eklund and Maude Adams and the director, Guy Hamilton, who directed Goldfinger, which was my favorite Bond film. And then Hervé Villechaize, who plays his little sidekick. And so then I figure I'm going to be dismissed now and I'm going to have to go back to London. And he goes, just hold on one second. And he goes and he asks the director if I can hang out. And the director says yes. So then he says, well, they're going to be eating lunch for an hour. Why don't I give you a tour of the Bond sets? And so for an hour, he takes me around all these sound stages of Pinewood, shows in a private tour of the Bond sets. Then we go back, we end up at Scaramanga's lair in the dining room area where they're going to be shooting a scene that afternoon of Roger Moore at one end of the table and Christopher Lee at the other, and Britt Eklund in her bikini sitting in between them, and Hervé Villechaize serving them. And I watched them shoot this scene the rest of the afternoon. And at the end of the day, Christopher says, would you like to share our Rolls-Royce limo back to London, the studio limo? And I'm like, oh, yeah, that'd be lovely. So I climb in there. I sit in the little fold-down seat behind the chauffeur, and I'm facing the back seat. And on the back seat is Christopher Lee and Hervé Villechaize, one of the tallest actors ever and one of the shortest actors ever.
Right. Yeah.
And Hervé is, people don't know who I'm talking about. I'm talking about, the Deplane from
boss. Deplane.
Fantasy Island. Mm-hmm. So he's 10 sheets to the wind, taking swigs out of a Jack Daniels bottle, and he starts to regale us with stories about all of the prostitutes he's hired since he's been in London. And he kept every sentence with the word pussy. However, he has a very thick lisp, so it comes out as pussy. And every time he says pussy, Christopher Lee starts to giggle, then starts to laugh, then starts to howl, starts to double over in uncontrolled hysterics. And every time, and I'm laughing just as much, and every time we start to compose ourselves, Hervé knows that all he has to do is say the word pussy again, and we just fall out.
Wow.
So we finally get back to London, and we drop Christopher off at 45 Cadogan Square. I'll never forget that address. That's where he lived, and it was just down the street from where Boris Karloff had lived. At that time, Boris was gone by then. But they had been neighbors when they actually worked together on a couple of things. Anyway, and then the driver dropped me off at my hotel. Okay, you would think that would be enough for one day for a fan.
Well, yeah, for a teenager, yeah, that would be enough, right?
No, not with me. That's not how I roll. I decided I've got to go see Pygmalion, which is being performed on stage in the West End, starring Diana Rigg, who I was a huge fan of because of Emma from the Avengers TV series, because she played a Bond girl in On Her Majesty's Secret Service, but especially because she played Vincent Price's daughter in Theater of Blood.
She wasn't any Bond girl. She was the girl that got him to marry her.
Yes, exactly. The only one that Bond ever married. And so, I go to the theater, sold out. I figured there's got to be somebody selling an extra ticket, and there was, and I got a most amazing seat. It was 7th row center. I'm hoping that maybe after the show I can go to the stage door and try to meet Diana Rigg and at least get an autograph, but maybe talk her into doing an interview. I don't know. But at least, if nothing else, I'll get to see her live on stage. Before the curtain goes up, I hear this very familiar laugh right behind me. I turn around, and the guy says, "Sam, what are you doing here?" And it's Vincent frickin' Price.
Oh, no way.
I'd already known him and met him a few times since the age of 14, and now I'm like 17. And I say, "Well, I'm here because I want to meet Diana Rigg, and I'm going to try to do that at the stage door." And he said, "Oh, you're coming back with me, backstage with me. And by the way, let me introduce you to my new fiancée, Coral Brown." Now, Coral Brown, he had been introduced to Coral Brown by Diana Rigg And Coral played one of the critics who they murder in Theater of Blood. So anyway, it was all interconnected. They took me backstage and introduced me to Diana Rigg. She agreed to do the interview for my magazine. I had memorized the monologue from Pit and the Pendulum in junior high school when they gave us an assignment to learn monologues, and they were thinking, Shakespeare, and I'm allergic to iambic pentameter, so I suggested, could I do Edgar Allan Poe? And they said yes. So I raced home and I transcribed the audio that I had taped off of a TV, because this is way before home video, of Pit and the Pendulum. And I transcribed that monologue, learned it, got an A. They never caught on that it wasn't Edgar Allan Poe. It was really the screenwriter, Richard Matheson. But I didn't tell them that.
Who's
And
just as
so
good
when
as
I
Poe, in my
first
opinion.
met Vincent Price at the age of 14, I did it for him, and he couldn't believe it. And the other, I was at a stage door. He was playing Fagin in a production of Oliver, and the other fans in line applauded me. So I made quite an impression on him at the age of 14. Well, here we are later, and he's introduced me to Diana Rigg, and he says, "This young man knows my monologue from Pit and the Pendulum," and he wound me up like his little performing monkey and had me perform that monologue for Diana Rigg. And it goes like this. "Do you know where you are, Bartolome? You're about to enter hell, the neverworld, the infernal region, the abode of the damned, a place of torment, Gehenna, the rock of the pit, and the razor edge of destiny, thus the condition of man bound on an island from which he can never nor hope to escape, surrounded by the waiting pit of hell, which must destroy him finally." Ta-da. And full circle, when Cassandra Peterson interviewed me as a possible director for Elvira's Haunted Hills, she handed me the script and she said, "Now this is a spoof of Pit and the Pendulum and the other Vincent Price, Edgar Allan Poe movies. Are you familiar with those?" And I just said, "Do you know where you are, Bartolome? You're about to enter hell, that never will." And as soon as I finished, she pointed at me and she said, "You're hired." That's how I got the movie.
That's amazing, dude. That's one of the best stories. And I know a lot of celebrities, dude. That's the best celebrity story I've ever fucking heard.
Good stuff,
dude.
Isn't that crazy?
I mean, the Bond set one by itself, had me.
Come on.
I know. Just come on. It's crazy. But anyway, this book is
That's
filled with.
So I went to see the Pope and
shit like that.
Jesus walks in.
Yeah. No. That's the only thing that didn't happen that day, really.
Yeah, that's awesome.
That's crazy.
Nope.
By the way, D-Bud, I want to thank you for putting that link out there. I saw you looking to your left. I knew you were looking up that link.
Yep.
So I appreciate
Hey, I got to earn my pay.
Yeah. So all my books are on Amazon, and they're available in hardback, paperback, ebook, Kindle ebooks. And I also do audio books. I'm such a ham and love to talk, as you can tell.
I can't see that. It just, no.
And so you can get the audiobooks, but I highly recommend that you know, let me read it to you, but please get the print edition so you can flip along with all the photos. My books literally have, I mean, the Frankenstein book has 1,500 photos. I'm not kidding. And all of my books have 1,000 photos at least. And so you're really missing, you don't get the full experience until you get the print edition, and then let me read it to you as you flip along.
Look, man, I'm going to tell you something. I got to have you back on. You have been one of the most enjoyable. I've directed Oscar-nominated directors on our show. I don't get to do interviews very often because it's time-consuming to set them up. But setting you up for the show was one of the easiest things I've ever had to do, just talking to you. And some of them make me go through their agents or their management.
Oh, good Lord. No, I say yes to anything. I will
have you back on when we
fans.
do.
I love podcasts. I'm a guest at conventions. I eat that shit up. That's
what led to this, Sam. Keith and I, we would speak at conventions, because I'm usually up there as a comic book artist talking about what it's like working in the industry, which I tell people, if you get a chance to do it, avoid it, do something else. It's not that great. You know, be prepared that only 11% of all professional artists in the comic industry make a decent living.
Yeah.
And it's the rest of them have to usually have second jobs or what have you. My best work has always been when I worked for agencies, like ad agencies or marketing companies.
Right.
Man, I made so much money working for them. And then, of course, when we went to the recession in 08, 09, that career was over. So I went back to doing comic books, and IDW is who I worked with for a long time. I was their secret weapon. I'd fix other people's artwork, and I'd get paid decent wages. I get no credit. I was their little workhorse guy because I'm good at fixing other people's art, and I can make it look like that person's artwork because I have that. I don't know what it is. It's like the ability to replicate other people's styles.
Yeah,
I know how they did it. But man, oh man, you are just incredible. I'm serious. I'm glad we didn't just talk about Frankenstein today because your life's amazing, dude.
It's
Holy
kind of insane.
crap.
It's kind of insane. You're right.
And your book reads great. I mean, it's just as much fun reading it as.
Oh, that's very sweet. I try to write in a very conversational style, just like I'm talking to you now.
And
that's the way journalists should write, in my opinion.
I agree.
Yeah, it's a lot. I mean, there's a ton of pictures. There's a lot of prose in this. It's kind of small type, and this book is what? It's 400 pages or so.
Yeah, so
and there is just so much
Frankenstein
information in this.
Almost 450 pages, and 1,500 photos. It's massive.
And it's full of all sorts of production details.
If you look up obsession in the dictionary, there's a picture of me holding this book. You know?
I can imagine. I can imagine because this is. I mean, you really love this movie. It really comes out in just what I've been able to read of this book so far.
When Jerry contacted me and asked if I wanted to come on the show to talk about this movie, I'm like, yeah. I'm kind of the self-proclaimed world authority on this movie, and
one thing's for
if you're
sure.
Interested in it, buy this book, people. I'm telling you that. I mean, this thing is great.
Oh, it's amazing! I can hardly wait to get my copy. I'm so impressed with everything, and from now on, if I have you on, I normally do Kim Jong-un puppet from Team America. I put him at the bottom of my thumbnails and have him say something funny about what we're going to talk about. Anytime I'm going to have you on, I'm going to do the same thing, but now with you. Like, just you're so energetic. You should have had a career in infomercials. You would have been one of those gods of infomercials because you just get so much information, packed information out so quickly and cleanly. And I don't know, man. I'm impressed with you, dude. I really am. And I like your work.
I've enjoyed being here, guys. Thank you so much for having me, guys and gals.
We have a fun group. Anima's been quiet, my fiance. Anima, we're getting close to the end here. Do you have anything you want to say to this gentleman? Is she even there? She's probably doing the what's his name? The villain from Bond stroking the cat.
That's it.
Because she has her cat.
Rockin' kitty.
Yeah, she's just sitting here petting the cat, thinking evil thoughts of what she's going to do to me later.
Yes.
There you go.
His Blofeld is Persian.
There she is.
There you go. Look at that. Look at that. She's got her kitty.
There we go.
And by the way, she has one of my Star Trek paintings I did for Paramount. And when I got out of the Army, the first thing I got was hired to do 2 fine art prints for Star Trek. I'm the only artist commissioned that did battles from Star Trek. I did 2, Wolf 359 and the Battle at Narendra 3.
Wow.
And they're my favorite things I ever did. But this guy right here, look at that. Self-promotion like crazy. Love this shit. And that you won a Rondo because I've always dreamt of getting one, but I couldn't figure out what I'm going to get it for. Because everything I do is military related.
Yeah.
But I do have a horror story that I wrote. And my buddy Richard Bonk, who's a Marvel comic artist, he started drawing it. We're halfway through the book. And it's got one of the craziest battle scenes between a special forces team that gets attacked by alien ooze mutated fucking mandrills, which
nice.
I hate those things, man. Since I was a kid, they terrify me. And they got like 6-inch fucking fangs, man.
Wow.
It's crazy. So I did a whole scene, and Dale Dye's my military advisor on everything I do when I write and draw. And he always checks to make sure my shit's accurate. And he looked at that and he says, I want to see this book done. This looks like fun.
No, you got to get this done.
Yep. Oh shit! It's speaking of Team America, our dear friend Sander Hammerschlag. Did you put that back up? Is a big fan, and he always wants his video. So here is his video for him. Where is it? I saw it. There it is. There you go, Sander.
I've got 5 terrorists going southeast on Bakalakadaka Street.
I'm friends with the Chiodo brothers, by the way. And I've been trying for forever to get them on. They'll only go on a show if they go on together.
Oh, wow.
Pain in the ass. And I'm friends with all of them. And I'm like, it's like, what's the point in being friends with you? I can't get you on my fucking show.
No, you got to get them on.
Oh, I'll keep trying until I die. But I'm going to have you back again. And I don't care, man. We'll cover the Elvira film. We'll cover anything you worked on just so to get you on here. That'll be so much fun.
Happy to return anytime you need.
Well, this has been one of my favorite shows so far that we've done. Just sitting down and just listening to you tell these amazing stories. I want to hear something, though, before we close about Frankenstein, the True Story. And there is a question, that got raised, and you already gave the answer to that, which is why it got that name. It's because of the network, NBC Universal.
The network named it. It was called Dr. Frankenstein while they were writing it and producing the movie. And just a few weeks before it aired on NBC, they changed it to The True Story, which was a big mistake. And everybody hated it. Everybody hated it.
What was your favorite experience in dealing with some of the people that worked on this, as far as interviewing them or hanging out with them?
Well, Jane Seymour was incredible. I met her in '74 when I went to London and had lunch with her and interviewed her for my fanzine. And then years later, when I did the Little Shop of Horrors magazine in 2017, I interviewed her again and then interviewed her on camera a third time for the Blu-ray.
For the special feature.
And she's just been so supportive and so incredible to, take part in all of this stuff. And then when I did the audiobook of this, she agreed to come in and record her answers to her vintage interview. And so she's a guest star on the audiobook. And so she's just been a doll and really a dream. And just very, very sweet and incredible.
Did you develop a friendship with a lot of these people?
A little bit with her, and definitely a friendship with the son of Jack Smite, the director, Alex Smite. He was actually on set every day after school. He moved to London for the year with his mother and father, and he was about 14, and he would go on set. So he always had great stories for me, and have become very friendly with him. I got to meet Leonard Whiting and interviewed him when I was in London. I went to London to interview him on camera for the Blu-ray, and then when I went back I was a guest at Dark Fest, which is put on by the Dark Side magazine 2 years ago. I had to promote this book. I hosted the 50th anniversary screening of this movie at Dark Fest, and I had Leonard Whiting come in person for a Q&A, and we did a Q&A with the audience, and he autographed the copies of the book and everything. It was just spectacular. And so he's been very supportive too.
Did you ever get to, because I know that we lost Michael back in about 2010, 2011.
Michael Sarrazin, yeah.
And no, I love that guy.
I never got to meet him, and it just kills me because I really would have loved to have met him for sure.
I was a fan of his work growing up. They Shoot Horses, don't they? I love that.
Yes.
Movie. Gumball Rally. Flim Flam Man, it's like my favorite, him and George C. Scott.
Yeah.
Like, God, man.
Directed by Irvin Kershner of Empire Strikes Back.
That's right. And the single greatest Star Wars film ever made.
Yeah.
And because it was the one that had the least control by George Lucas. And I'm very critical of George. I really am. He's a great visionary guy. He's a terrible writer. And I tell people all the time, you know, because like somebody called him a genius. I said, he's a marketing genius and an idea genius. I will give you that.
Yeah.
But he also is a genius in knowing who to hire.
Yeah.
Because that guy created something with Industrial Light and Magic by hiring the right fucking people. And
Yes.
it's just amazing. And did you ever meet him?
No, I would have loved to have.
Yeah, he's somebody I've always wanted to meet myself, George Lucas.
Yeah.
As much as I it seems like I slag on him, not really. I love the guy.
Yeah.
I love the guy. But I'm just brutally honest about like where he's talented and where he isn't. I don't like it when people try to oversell somebody. I'm like, pull back on that. What kept him, Gary Kurtz, and then with Empire was Gary Kurtz and Irvin Kershner kept him reined in. And that's why that movie was voted by fans the best Star Wars film ever made.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
And Kershner is a great director. I can't think of a film he did I didn't like. Man. And now, by the way, I'm going to go check out some of your Christmas shit just so I could check out some of the stuff you did for Hallmark. Because like, I don't watch
I've only done 10 of them.
It looks freaking good, man.
I went through a list of, they're great fun to do for sure.
I'll tell you a funny little story because you got one. I think it's called "My Sister Is Gay."
My sister is so gay. Yes,
it's so gay. Okay, look, I have like an incredible number of gay friends. Like it's insane. I love having them in my life because they make me so happy and being around them. And also, nobody throws a party like a gay man. And I'm telling you honestly, brutally honestly, nobody can throw a fucking party like a gay man. And I love going to their parties. And I lived with John and Chance. I can't say their last names because they don't like that being made public. But John and Chance were the cutest gay couple I feel like I've ever met in my life. And their arguments are so fucking polite. It's ridiculous. And but we lived together in a big ranch-style house. And my roommate across the hall from me was Travis, who's also one of my closest friends. And so Chance invites his sister for our Christmas party. It's a house Christmas party, huge. And she comes there and she tells Chance, I like your gay roommates. They look like a good couple. And she's referring to Travis and me.
Oh, that's great.
And it's the funniest thing I've ever heard. And it's like, and we finally we're like, oh, we're straight. I think, right?
That's great.
I looked at it, we're straight, right? That's our story. That's our story. We're sticking with it. But it's so fun meeting you, and I just cannot believe your fucking energy. It's contagious.
Well, I really enjoyed it. Thank you so much for having me.
Well, we appreciate it. I'm so glad you stuck around for the whole 2 hours.
Oh, absolutely.
So everybody, check out. We put the links out there. D-Bud, thank you so much for doing it, man. And Martin for the stuff you were doing too. Was sharing the links. I know he had to leave for a little bit.
I did too, buddy.
Joe doesn't do shit. I'm sorry, Joe's here. I'm sorry. See what I mean? I'm mean to my friends.
Joe's just here to have a real artist on the show.
It's like, well, the amazing part, like you can tell that D-Bud Martin is not a director of photography because he doesn't know how to frame an image. He's like in the bottom third of the screen.
That's more important than I am.
But I want to thank you for being here, Sam. I mean, it was an absolute delight. You are just such an interesting guy. I fucking love your house. Is the rest of your house like this?
Pretty much. Yeah, we call it Curio Shop on Acid.
Look, I knew Forey Ackerman, okay? And I fucking hate his son, okay? He shut his website down.
Oh, wow.
After he died. What a fucking prick. And
that's not good.
He had one of my paintings I did it for him. He asked me to do it, and then how much? And I'm like, for you, man, you inspired me. No, I can't charge you for this. And I did a painting of Boris Karloff's Frankenstein. It's the only one I've ever done. And because I usually only do commission work. So people go, well, don't you do stuff for yourself? I said, very rarely. If I do something for me, it's music. I compose music for me. Artwork I do because I'm a whore. And you pay me to do it. It's true, Joe. I'm an absolute. I understand the connection. Prostitution. I do this for money, not because I enjoy it. And
oh, my brother,
I can fake like I enjoy it.
He'll do anything for money.
I do commission work too, but I do stuff for myself too, buddy.
I don't.
Privateer
But
is purely my thing. So
I've hit an age, though, Sam, to where I only work for people I want to work with.
Yeah, I'm the same way.
And I would fucking love to work with you on something. I don't care what it is. God damn, you're a cool dude. I just, it's like, man. And no, you're not wearing the same outfit on the other interview. That one was a black turtleneck. That was a black turtleneck. Solid black. Yep. But still, I like your the gloves, everything, man. You're not a caricature. You're a character, and I love.
Yeah, well,
that.
I do have an alter ego. We didn't mention. I am Captain Camouflage. I am a queerdo.
Oh yes, I've seen that at the cons. Yes,
Captain Camouflage and the Frankenstein Scam. This won the graphic book of the year with the Rondo Awards, and the cartoonist is Dan Gallagher, and it's like a parody of the little golden books that we had as kids, but it's all horror
I
related.
love those.
That's kick ass, man.
It's
now
so
I gotta
much
get
fun.
a copy of that.
And we're working on the sequel now. It's just loads of fun. The villain is Peter Lorre, and it's just got a million references from all the films we love.
Well, it was a pleasure to meet you. I got to run, guys. I got my own show to put together.
I got to get going here too.
You guys,
thank everybody. Yeah, get the fuck out of here, Joe. I can barely stand here.
Gary.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, I want to thank Gambit, Snorty, Daryl Brewer, Andy Morrow, Werewolf Jeebus, Willie the Monkey King, Gambit of Life is how you have it written, Martin. Is that right? Sally Forth. Sandra Hammerschlag, Andy Masterson, Penny, Barnabas Collins, Queen Glamazona. I like that fucking name. Vince Womack, Jamie G, Voltaic Blood, and of course my buddy Zax, Venkman's Girl, and CJ Prime all dropped into the chat. Thank you so much, guys, for having your little conversations. I look over all the time. I don't get to comment on it when I have a guest like this on very much because I don't want to interrupt what we're doing. I just fucking love this, Sam. And you are absolutely one of my favorite guests I've ever had on here.
Thank you so much.
No, thank you, Sam. And we're going to get out of here, guys. Please stick around after the show, Sam, if you can, so we can talk to you for a few more minutes before we all go, if that's okay. And I'm not going to pressure you. If you have to go, you go.
I need to go, unfortunately.
All right. So I'm going to wrap up here, and I'm going to say bye to you now. And I'll talk to you on Facebook.
Okay, cool.
Well, get out of here, guys. Thank you so much for hanging out with us. And everybody have a great day.
Y'all come back now, you hear?
Matt Damon.